Chairman, I yield back.
Well, thank you very much. The gentleman yields back, and the chair now recognizes the gentleman from Kentucky, the chair of the full committee, for 5 minutes for an opening statement.
Thank you, Chairman Latta, and thank you our witnesses for being here. Today. Today we will, and witnesses later today. Today we will examine legislation to restore consumer choice in the appliance and home Americans purchase, reverse federal building policies that put our nation's security at risk, and restrict activist states and localities from implementing policies that ban energy services based on the fuel source. As many of the subcommittee members stated last week, we all support energy efficiency gains, but affordability must be at the forefront of the conversation. As my friend was just discussing, bad building codes have decreased housing production and can add up to $31,000 to the price of a new home. Egregious appliance standards have caused homeowners to spend 34% more on appliances than they did 15 years ago, while having to replace them at a faster rate. And anti-fossil fuel agendas have raised energy prices and jeopardized reliability for millions of customers. Furthermore, many policies put forth in the name of energy efficiency don't result in substantial energy gains. Some, like natural gas bans, actually increase energy use and consumer prices. In Kentucky, homeowners using gas for heating save $610 annually as compared to electric-only alternatives, and the state has protected energy choice in statute. All Americans deserve to make that same choice based on what works best for their families and their pocketbooks. Today, Republicans bring solutions to the table. The pieces of legislation being discussed today will reform the broken statutory process for energy efficiency standards for appliances and equipment, repeal fossil fuel phase-outs and bans, and reduce regulatory confusion, and nullify IRA programs that coerce states to adopt rigid building codes. As Chair Latta mentioned, the subcommittee will also discuss a bill from Representative Tonko on the Department of Energy's weatherization program. We're willing to work with our Democratic colleagues to see if we can reach a compromise on that bill. I look forward to hearing today, and I just want to say that we do have rising demand of energy, and so if the previous 4 years hadn't done what they did, if it was still the same, the rising demand of energy, if we don't produce more energy, is going to have an increase in energy prices. That's just the supply and demand. And so we have to make it more affordable. We have to make it more abundant, and it has to be all the above. But wind and solar is subsidized because it's expensive. It's not because it's cheaper. I mean, it's because it's expensive. If it was cheaper, it wouldn't have to be subsidized. And sometimes the subsidies distort the investment where you get non-dispatchable power. That's what we're talking about today. So it has to be all the above. It has to be all of the sources, but it also has to be where it makes economic sense to do so. And we have to reform the system. There's a new word that's coming from, I've heard from progressives, that is called abundance, the abundance strategy, and we need abundance. There was a $42 billion fund for broadband that after 3.5 years spent not a single inch of fiber was laid in 3.5 years because of all the procedures that people had to go through to try to do broadband. It was a noble exercise, but I think $42 billion appropriation or authorization and appropriation sat there because you couldn't get through the process. And so what we want to do, and I know, I actually didn't even vote for that $42 billion, but I know that people that did, and they wanted that money spent, but the whole system, it has become a procedure system, a process system. And so what I would like to look at as chairman of the full committee, and this subcommittee and others, and both sides of the aisle, we're working with Mr. Tonko today to get the weatherization bill, that we figure out how to get the procedures in place that protect them. I went to school on the Hudson River. You couldn't swim in the 1980s. We do not, matter of fact, Robert Kennedy Jr. was leading the Riverkeeper program to try to clean up the Hudson River. We don't want that. We want to make sure we have processes in place to prevent that. But now, almost 40 years later, when I was in college, we got to the point where you can't build hardly anything. California, the reason the abundance has come out because housing prices are so expensive in California, because building codes make it prohibitively expensive to build. And so that's what hopefully we can do as a committee together, is I know that we have different views, we have different energy sources that are preferable, but in the end, we have to do things that work. And I think all of us, I think 432 members now, want to beat China. All of us do. And so we have to figure out how we work together to make sure we have the energy, we have the infrastructure, we have the processes in place where we're successful protecting ourselves, but also successful in beating China. And I will yield back.